this game in their favor. We're about to see as bot lane, probably the most volatile matchup that we've seen all series. And given that they've solo killed each other pretty much every game, this really just kind of turns it up another notch. And it is the Guardian picked up by the Nami, so definitely respecting the fact that that all-in can come through.
Aftershock Vi this game, which is not what we typically see. We usually see the Conqueror on that, so a different take here, also in that lane.
Yeah, I wonder if it's kind of the... Feels like it's just going to ult in and then get so heavily CC'd by the likes of the Cassio and the Sedge that honestly just needs to buy himself a bit of time, which could be the play.
Yep, definitely could. And how do you feel about teleport on Cassiopeia? Because I almost wanted to bring up during that break, like, do you think that cleanse might be necessary here? Because as you said, if you come look mid-level 6, if Pretender's out, like, you know, overextended or whatnot, gets charmed, you're pretty much just dead.
I think it would be kind of nice to have cleanse, but ultimately you just can't really afford to pick it up. As we might see, some sort of level 1. Yeah, you can't really afford to take it just because otherwise Ari will shove you in, and in the side lane as well, it can be difficult for you to group with your team. And also, I feel like that level 6 gank, even with the cleanse, you might just die because a lot of the time, it will just start with the Vial as we have a pause. Very unfortunate.
Yep, the Pause Championship Series. Now I wonder, so we do see the junglers here both starting top, as I did suspect would happen. I wonder if it'll be full clears. It does look like there is a ping towards those Krugs at the moment from Frank, so it does look like Sejuani looking to full clear. Don't know yet about Vi, but unfortunately, we are back into a pause.
Unfortunately so, and I think you would expect the junglers to skip at least one camp, I think, on the way to bot, because it feels like whichever jungler gets to bot first potentially can look for some sort of setup. Now, I guess that if you're on the side of rank here, you're the ones that have the gank set up, right? Like, the Lucian Nami is probably not going to set up ganks too early in the game, so maybe the Sejuani going to the Krugs is actually fine. I mean, apparently it is just a microphone issue for Nesty, so not going to be as long as the previous one. We return to the game. It's weird that set up there a minute and 58. Feels a lot longer than that.
Absolutely does. We see priority given to Eminem and Kaiwing early, which, while it's not overly surprising just through Kallista's level 1 power, and nice trade here in mid already. Pretender using that level advantage, getting huge health trade-offs to Nesty. He might even have to look to recall here, as Hollow could look mid if he so chooses.
Low health bars for both of them, and that could be a place that you look. Obviously, there is that charm that can come out of Nesty and Frank. They're the ones that are controlling this bot wave. Hana, he skips his Grom, so he's going to be down here a little earlier. And there's a ping onto Nesty. I wonder if Hollow is going to maybe play for some sort of dive. Could flash over the wall, but it is quite difficult. Cassio normally puts 2 points E at level 3, so won't have the miasma. Does drop the ward, though. She might have miasma here, actually, given how low Nesty is.
Okay, is looking, but importantly, Hana in the area, charm dodge, so we'll just back off from that situation. But now Kaiwing invading, getting super aggressive onto Hana now. We'll find him out at these Raptors as Hana looks to back off, and so much pressure here given to mid lane as we see Eminem actually early recall on the Callista.
It does just go for that reset while Kaiwing roams around the map, so pretty efficient use there of the tempo. And Pretender has himself a pretty solid lead already with the wave pushing back to him as well. Probably can just go for the base TP here and will ensure himself a favorable wave state. Nesty actually might need to be a little careful here. If he TPs back to the wave, which he does, there was a potential, I think, for Kaiwing to go mid, but instead chooses to go back and help Callista with the spot wave. Hana is, I believe, spotted on this ward. It should be spotted, but will definitely be spotted now. He's just going to come in here.
Ooh.
Well, currently, he has the bot prior, but they're recalling.
Hollow will be able to pick up this blue as Hana retreats back. I wonder what he's looking bottom. Will be spotted there. There is no jungle available down here, so maybe just helping them push in this wave as Cascada looks for an aggressive trade. Won't find too much damage onto Kaiwing, but is able to now get bone plating away from Eminem.
Yep, looks like this wave will be crashed. Another huge trade coming out mid. Nesty must have wasted the charm. Anytime charm is used in this matchup, Cassio can look extremely aggressively. But go forward at the wrong time and you can find yourself charmed under a tower. Trades coming out on top side as well. Hanabi's actually got himself a nice lead already. Looks like Solica must have gone for some sort of cheater recall early. Has got a base off and hasn't used TP. Low health bars mid again. So we kind of thought bot would be the volatile lane, but there's so much pressure around mid. Hana might queue into this bush.
Looking, but would be dangerous being that Hollow is already set up there. Actually going back now, Charm lands onto Pretender just outside of tower range as Guardian proc will keep him nice and topped up. Hollow now going to have to block this Q. Will do so, and Pretender does get away here. But importantly, Nesty now able to push this lane in, and not going to be a very good recall timing, for Pretender.
Well, I think they can both reset. It might not be the worst, but I mean, it's nice, I guess, that Pretender is bringing so much pressure mid. Does kind of alleviate pressure on the other lanes, although Hollow's kind of been forced to match. Yeah, though, with this bot priority, they are starting up this drag. And I would be sort of surprised if DCG try and contest this, but the way their positioning kind of suggests they want to. It is just a 3v3, but one that I think favors Frank. As they do wisely back away. I'm not sure what they were looking for. I guess they managed to take away a pink, but that is the first drag that goes the way of Frank. And I think if you can pick up drags as a team with Kalista, that definitely feels good, right? You're not really relying on ultra late game scaling. And it does mean that you do use your bot priority there.
Yeah, and with 5 minutes 30 being the time taken for that dragon, that means we could have a potential very, very early soul on our hands, maybe around the 21 to 22 minute mark.
It is DCG, though, that have themselves a very small edge in this early game in terms of gold, and that is just off the back of CS leads in ADC and top lane right now. I feel like it might be equalized, though, when that wave does crash. ST, now level 6, should be able to play this matchup a lot better. Does just have the ability to disengage, and as he gets more AP, we'll be able to just wave clear these waves out. Has the Ignite picked up as well, so is going to have very strong 2v2. Hollow's looking mid.
Yeah, Charm does land. A nice chunk there onto Pretender. With Charm down, he's trying to look aggressively, especially having Hollow in that wing. Unfortunately, will not land that Q.
Yeah, Misty has to move quite far up for the creeps. Q does connect.
Just finding a trade.
Ooh.
Nice use of the miasma, and Spirit Rush is forced now, so low health on Ari, as well as no more ults available, but Orca's in the area. We'll be able to top him up a little bit, but no mana available at all for this Ari is going to make it really problematic for as this wave crashes.
It will, and I think that Ari's a champ that normally is able to move around the map in 2v2 pretty effectively, especially after 6. So if Pretender can manage to just lock him in this lane, it really stops Nesty from being able to do what Nesty does best and impact the map. Obviously, still will have the potential in teamfights to look for those charms, especially on Kalista, who does not have the cleanse. But it's tough, the fact that you can't get your Ari out of this lane. I'm not even sure if you can look mid here as Hana, because you're just so far behind in this 1v1. Nesty doesn't really have the mana to contest it. Even if you do ult the Cassio, I'm not sure she'd actually end up going down. Kaiwing, he's pathing back onto the map. He's going straight back bot, already has vision around mid, but can maybe path there instead. And there is pings onto the red buff here for Hana, so he's going to grab that up as Nesty goes for a reset. I wonder if Hollow can just start this up. Knowing that Nesty is recalled, this should be free, I would think, although Hanabi, maybe he's going to look for it.
He's going to find it out, but it's quite a lot more health than Hanabi. Does have ultimate available too, so will have quite a lot of damage. Pretender now walking up there to ensure this Rift Herald is taken nice and neatly. It will be Rift Herald now going to the side of Frank as well. So early advantages being found by the side of Frank. Gold stays relatively even, but it is slightly favoring Frank.
With this Herald, I think you have to feel should probably be used bot side. They're looking mid. Nesty does not have ult.
Does have flash available. Hook will land here. Is going to have to flash, but with this Ren that's building up, it will be Ren. First blood to Eminem, and Kaiser is already on the board.
And Kaiwing, he's very happy about that. Yeah, it's a Kalista, but hey,
whoops.
They're all the same to me. Eddie carry bias, of course, here on the PCS. Play. Ooh, does it go to Cruscata? No, I don't think he actually got the play. It's kind of hard to tell, but I don't think he ended up getting the goal from it. But that's pretty funny there. I mean, Pretender, he was actually recalling, I believe. Meanwhile, his bot lane comes mid and kills his laner for him. So they do grab first blood, and there's a really nice roam from Kaiwing, punishing the fact that Nesty did not have that ult and probably wasn't expecting it. Didn't flash the Nort hook. Did just lead to his death.
Yeah, that's huge for sort of how this game can play out now, though. Getting that 400 gold onto your Kalista can really make problems going forward. As well as just such a massive lead already built up for Cassiopeia in this 1v1.
Yes, it's definitely looking good for her. And getting towards the Catalyst now, it does feel like the window to gank mid has pretty much completely closed. I think even now the Ahri Vi just might not bring enough damage. They have a lot of lockdown, but you know, not the damage that you normally see paired with Vi. A lot of the time with Vi, you pick stuff like the Vega or the Syndra that can just provide, you know, huge amounts of damage. Even the Talia, the Ahri, it does provide effective follow-up in the fights, but not the same level as damage as you'd expect from the other champs.
Ooh, Hana looking, does have ult available, will use it onto this Kalista. Kalista getting very low, face call used now, will find the knockup, but Hana picking up a kill now on Eminem. Hollow coming down, Glacial Prison will go wide, but it was useful in making sure Kaiwing survives. So a kill returned is onto the Vi, perhaps not who you exactly want it to be on, but does remove Kalista from the map now, giving some free farm to Chris Carter.
Yeah, it looks like Chris Carter doesn't actually manage to pressure the plates, is instead pressuring the Dragon. Now, I'm not sure this...
Kaiwing now going to get caught out. That's a second kill now found for Hana. This will be Dragon also most likely picked up from DCG, although Hollow is walking up here.
Yeah, I think this might actually be contestable. It depends how hard they want to play for it, but maybe look for the fight after.
As strong as Eminem, well, we'll find an initiation here. Will they be able to find the kill? It is smited away from Hollow, as well as kill picked up. Now it is a 1-for-1, 3v2 left on the map. Hollow flashes over the wall, but that is not the way to your base. Is he going to be able to find a way out? He actually does have that empowered recall at the moment, so likely will.
Yeah, I think it would have been too much time there for them to chase. So really, really well played from Frank. Managed to make that a 1-for-1 and end up stealing away the Dragon. Importantly, I think Hanabi walked away from top as well. So it was a plate that did go to solo kill there. You're maybe a little worried, though, about the Kalista in this game. It is very, very far behind. And it's not the end of the world because you still have a lot of DPS that can come out from the Cassio. But it's going to be real hard for, I think, Kalista to do anything. It was the flash engage that came out from Pretender on the Cassio. Lockdown, took out the jungler nice and early, but Eminem honestly just didn't have a way to play that fight, didn't have any sums, and so was just engaged upon by Nesty very early. Nice flash out from Hollow as well. Well, Herald just goes mid, so putting all their eggs in the Pretender basket and gets the rower at 12 minutes, and Nesty's probably never seen that before.
Nice, does pick up the plates here too, and you have to be a little bit worried though, because now this Kalista's so far behind, it feels like Cassiopeia will be almost certainly the target of these Vi ults. And a lot of your gold is on this Cassiopeia. Obviously hasn't picked up a kill yet, but with that assist, the 30 CS lead and a couple of tower plates to his name, it's going to be quite far ahead of the Ahri.
Yeah, it was very, very strong. And I think he might... Oh, dodges out the charm. That was potentially risky, but very nice dodge there from Pretender. And I think that he is maybe ahead enough that Vi still has to think twice about ulting him. Is going to be extremely tanky. And if he itemizes either the Steris or the Rylai's next, or even the Zhonya's, it's going to be pretty hard to go on. It's definitely going to need to kind of have someone around to provide follow-up damage, because it's very, very difficult to get through that health all on your own. The wave now is going to get crashed here by the side of DCG. Kaiwing's looking very aggressively. Hollow's in the area as well. Hana, I don't believe, has been spotted. He's wisely staying out of vision. I believe that ward spots Hollow returning to mid. Nesty needs to be a little careful on this mid wave. He has ult, but does not have cleanse for the Sedge ult. So if he does get caught, like, he will wisely back away. And it is Ahri going for the Liandry's, which I think is a pretty good pickup, honestly. There's a lot of health stackers on the enemy team. Hanabi finds himself with a pretty nice lead here up in topside. You know, has been quietly kind of scaling away up here. 20 CS lead for himself. 2 minutes on the next drag, which is, you know, as you said, extremely early into this game. Was picked up at 5:30, the first one. And that's pretty early to have to contest this as the side of DCG. Well, I think you do kind of have the advantage in bot lane for now. The rest of your map is not really at the point where they want to fight, right? No Mythic yet on Nesty. And I'm not sure if Hanabi is like strong, but it's not really hitting the stride that Gwen does as you do later in the game. Culling comes out.
Culling comes out onto Kaiwing. It will be cease and desist used onto Pretender here, but is alive for now. Charm importantly follows it up as he is going to go down. It is Chris Carter who finds that kill. Can Eminem find anything now as Solo Kill arrives a bit too late? A lot of damage found so far onto Nesty. Hook will land. He is going to go golden. Kaiwing does go down. Solo Kill finds a 4-man knockup. It's only Eminem alive, but ultimately 4 for 1 in favor of DCG. Attention now towards this Rift Herald.
DCG just annihilate Frank in that fight, and I think the main thing that kind of led to that is the fact that Casio does not have the flash, so was just Vi-ulted, and despite there not being immediate follow-up, there's really no way for her to kite out of that. And I think a very important fight for Nesty as well, managed to pick himself up a couple kills, and now becomes a very credible AP threat in this game, especially with that Leander he's picked up, and despite being so far behind, managing to get that fight win, puts him ahead in gold, grabs himself the Herald, and now they should be feeling very good about fighting this third drag, as we'll see. Initial engage, I feel like the culling being used on the Kaiwing does mean there's no immediate damage fallout for Pretender, but you can see knocked up twice here, then charmed, repeatedly CC'd, and with no flash to get out, despite being fed, didn't have the opportunity to deal any damage. And once that Casio's gone, you can see how little damage Eminem does at this point. Even with the hook connecting there from Kaiwing, there just is nothing to back it up. Solo kill, on the Cassante, we kind of saw the same thing happen to Driver, where it's not the damage threat that you really need. But now, next fight, Pretender, he does have the flash, and so does Callista. The Dragon spawning, and I think it's most likely going to be a trade. Pretender is just staying top, does not have the TP, so they're going to trade top tier 1, give over this first Dragon.
Yeah, so DCG are going to now start to find the first Dragon for themselves, and honestly, Chris Carter is so far ahead of Eminem now. Did importantly pick himself up the kill onto Nesty during that fight, but it's just... I think we're going to see maybe what we saw kind of in that game number 2, where it's just going to be so hard now for the side of Frank to ever contest these mid waves, and it's just going to be DCG getting priority over every objective as long as they don't make any major misstep.
Herald does go over to mid, and like you said, with the accelerated Lucian Nami, just feels so difficult to ever contest that mid wave. And while you do perhaps get pressure on the side with the Casio, I think Solo Kill should be falling behind versus Gwen. So you can only get priority on one side of the map and no priority on mid, which just makes it so hard to ever actually make any proactive plays.
Culling used here is finding a lot of damage on Team Eminem. It was Gale Force committed as well, so that will be down for the next 90 seconds, but nice trade on Team Eminem now. He will likely look for a recall. You have to feel a little bit of sustain. Perhaps actually a honey fruit, it looks like.
Yeah, and that mid tower probably can't remain too much longer. Both mid towers are actually very low, but it should be DCG who get priority on almost every single wave. And the gold, once again, still remains very even. Something we've just seen, from these teams pretty much all series long is that even when the game ends up being quite snowbally later on, at least initially, the teams stay kind of neck and neck for a long time. And I think it was game number 3 that, even 30 minutes into the game, the gold was still completely even.
Yeah, absolutely. It is 7 kills to 3, but I think largely because of Cassiopeia's almost 50 CS lead in this middle lane, actually keeps the gold completely even now as Eminem finishes that wave.
He's got 2 items on the Casio very early as well, and I believe he also got the first tower gold on the top side. So he was very accelerated here, and I think, certainly for good reason that they're putting the kills towards him. But
Hollow
engage,
in trouble. Will commit tidal wave for now. It does look like he might be able to get, although Hana recommitting. He will use cease and desist onto Hollow. How long can Hollow survive here? He is trying to flash away. Will get the Sejuani dash, but ultimately goes down to Nesty with that Q.
Nice pick there. Coming out of the side of DCG, managed to get that one pretty much for free, and it was Hollow's flash that was used. And no flashes used from the side of DCG, perhaps showing why this Vi has been pretty much permanently banned by every team that's come up against it. Decides immediately after playing against it, we're not doing that again. 2 minutes 30 though, on this next Dragon. One that I think will potentially make or break the game. Frank, if they lose another team fight, could be in a rough spot. It could definitely be a Baron picked up by the side of DCG, and Hanabi has been quietly scaling very well into this game. Second item, maybe looking towards the Nashes or the Cosmic or even the Zonyas. Lots of options here for him.
Yeah, and I think 2 minutes away from this Dragon, eyes start to be towards I think, Pretender, right, to look to be this carry for the team and get them through this. I think the majority of the goal that's keeping them within touching distance is on him. Eminem will probably be able to go back and pick up an item here. I don't know if he'll go for the likes of the Gwinsus or perhaps the Runans, being that he is against quite short range. Have to see what he picks up here. I imagine it will only be components for now.
Yeah. I wonder if Pretender... Okay, I was about to say,
Gwinsus.
if he picks up a stopwatch ahead of this fight, which he does, I think that's very, very important because that pretty much takes away Cassio as an ult target. So you have to go on the Callista, but that's when the Cassio really shines. Culling does come out.
Should be a honey fruit somewhere around, though, knowing that it is the Chem tank.
Yeah, and I think Cassio should be able to lifesteal some of that back anyway. It looks like he found a honey fruit in that top river. And that's culling down. I think should be up in time for Dragon as a bot tower falls there. Nesty is pushing in. Pretender, you know, he commits TP to mid very, very early, which means that he is grouped perhaps earlier than he needs to. A little bit of poke still coming out of Cascada. For once, though, Frank are the ones in control of the mid wave. And Baron is up. Hanabi, he has himself a flank.
Yeah, Frank with the Callista and also this Cassio do have immense amounts of Baron damage if ever given time to hit it. It will be Gwinsu's also, that Eminem's opting towards, and that'll just offer more damage in these fights. Combing takes a big chunk there from Nesty. As Hollow goes wide on the Glacial Prison, Orca should be fine to walk away. Will use Tidal Wave. So a couple of big ults now down from both sides. It's fairly even, all things considered. 2 cleanses available for DCG. It is both Nesty and Cascada, the 2 carries with cleanse available, but not much to cleanse left, knowing that the Glacial Prison is down, as Kaiwing getting pretty aggressive here, and Bubble will not connect onto solo kill.
Oh, Hook's going so close, and Frank, they managed to regain control of the river. This actually looks pretty good for them. I don't think that there's a good engage that can come out of Hana here.
Nice job from Solo Kill to tank up so much of this damage. It is the culling now committed.
This is looking better and better for Frank.
It is, and Eminem is going to be so hard to contest. As we see, cease and desist here is going to be used on Pretender. He goes gold at the last minute. It might be a little bit too late. Eminem finding as much damage as possible. Does take down one. Looking for the chase here onto Nesty. He's getting engaged on Hanabi, doing so much damage as Solo Kill and Hollow try to get it back. It is going to be 1 traded over, but it's a 2. Actually, 5. No, actually Eminem lives, so it is eventually, a 4 for 2 in favor of DCG. It looks like Dragon will be taken, and Eminem eventually does go down here.
An absolutely heartbreaking team fight there for Frank. I feel like they should have won that. They managed to bait out pretty much all the important cooldowns, and Pretender, he had everything he needed to be able to survive that fight, but he walked so close up that he didn't actually manage to stopwatch because he was locked in a CC chain. If he had been positioned further back, as we'll kind of see here, you know, could just stopwatch before the Vio goes off, but you can see is in flash Q range, and it's just almost dead before he gets the stopwatch off. And I think that's just such a massive individual misplay. That's your main DPS threat taken down, and Eminem, he really does what he can, but can't deal with Hanabi on the Gwen whatsoever. And so ultimately it is DCG that just run down the remaining members of Frank, and I think with that team fight loss, the fact that Cassio both burned Flash and Stopwatch and they still hard lost the fight means that the next fight is going to be even more difficult.
Yeah, 4-0-8 now for Cascada on the Lucian. He's looking so strong, and from how bad it looked for this Ari early game, 4 kills, 2 deaths, 7 assists, he's maybe behind a little bit on Cassiopeia, but certainly wouldn't be by much now.
Maybe. Another
Charms on Kaiwing. Hook will not land. Yeah, Pretender again getting engaged on here by the Vice. Cease and desist used. Pretender is alive for now. Nesty so low, but Zhonya's will be committed. Eminem now using Face Call to find a little bit of peel here as Hanabi in the middle of the team, all out from Solo Kill. Hanabi now going forward, as is Nesty. It looks like another team fight win will go the way of DCG as Eminem inevitably goes down as well.
And this should be the Baron as well. I don't think there's any universe in which Frank can contest this. Once again, Pretender is kind of caught way too far up. And despite the fact that he lived, you know, it means he's so low and he can't actually DPS for the rest of the fight. And this game looks all but over. I don't really see a way for Frank to come back in this because, you know, Callista just won't deal the damage and Pretender will be the target for every remaining fight. And initially here, I mean, Pretender, he face checks the VIQ and just spends, again, so much of this team fight locked up. And when he finally gets the DPS, gets hit by the Nami wave, they did manage to get damage on the Nesty, but he just Zonya'd. And you can kind of see that, well, Cassie, she does damage, but she doesn't get the opportunity to. Really just not good enough positioning here, back-to-back from Pretender. If he wants to carry this game for his team, needs to do better than this. And another team fight win here for DCG brings him to a 6,000 gold lead. And with this, is this Dragon live? I don't think it is live.
No, certainly doesn't look like it, but it should be up in the near future, you'd have to think. And honestly, you just need a better performance out of Pretender, it feels like. You see Eminem in these fights, he is doing pretty much as he possibly can from the tools he's given, but Pretender is dying so early in these fights as Eminem taking a lot of damage to the culling. Hollow will come and block off some of that for him.
Got 142 gold from First Strike on that one, which does feel pretty nice. Top tier 1 falls, and I think the mid tier 2 should not be long for this world either. Pretender manages to trade something back on bot side, probably still has the majority of his team's gold despite not having any kills. But I don't think, we might have the Zonyas in time, but it really just feels like too little too late now. You had to win that initial fight with the stopwatch, and the fact that you didn't, means DCG running away with this game. They break open the mid, and now, only 26 minutes in, are knocking on this inhib. Doesn't quite go down, though. They're forced away from the side of Frank.
Yeah, and Solo Kill doing a nice job here to delay any further turrets going down as we see what looked like an attempt at a fight there onto Hollow. He will get away and happily go back to his base to heal back up. And I want to see Pretender's items. We haven't seen it yet, but it's very important to know if he has the Zonyas again.
I think he might have the Zonyas now. I honestly don't feel like it matters that much now, though. They're just so far behind in gold that even if Pretender survives, I think the rest of the fight just kind of folds around him. We'll see, though. The NF didn't actually manage to break, but it was so much gold there picked up by the side of DCG. It looks like the Dragon timer is broken, but we can see on the map it's spawning in less than a minute here. The DCG should be able to get here early and kind of set this up. Nesty, he's got himself both a Zonyas and a Banshee, so it's going to be almost impossible to kill.
Zonyas is available for Pretender here, and importantly, they've already set up, so it shouldn't be any face checks from this Cassiopeia getting him caught out. Going in, this could be dangerous. Kaiwing will land it onto the... There is a stopwatch down from Hana. Can we see a team fight win here? Pretender joining now is the majority of this team's damage. What can he find? Low health bars coming over to Frank, honestly, at this point. Charm lands onto Solo Kill. He's so low already on this Cassante. Cascada finds a lot of damage as there is a bit of a disengage. Dragon coming up so shortly. Vi finds the initiation again onto Pretender. Zonyas is too late. What can Eminem do? Looks like nothing against the Gwen. It is going to be more members here of Frank going down to Nesty's Ari, and it looks like the game could possibly just end. Eminem doing his best, but quadra kill. Are they going to look for the Penta here? Definitely is possible. Kaiwing is going to be spotted out here. Hana leashing it for Nesty. He actually flashes away, but he won't be long for this world. Give it to Nesty. Give him the Penta. Will it come through? Shielding up, and it will here. It is the Penta kill eventually for Nesty, and the game for DCG. We're going to game number 5.
I cannot believe it. 3 days in a row, it goes to frickin' game 5. How hype is it for all of the PCS teams, man? I mean, once we got those LCO teams out of the way, it's been nothing but great series. And oh my god, I mean, Nesty, right? He fell so far behind in the laning phase, and it's kind of somewhat typical for him, right? But then, and again, typical Nesty fashion, massively outperforms in the 5v5s, and Pretender, I felt like it was a difficult game for him for sure, but I think there was a moment at that, I want to say, third Dragon fight where he had the flash and the stopwatch, and if he could have survived that fight, maybe there was a way for Frank to win, but unfortunately just didn't position well enough. Again, admittedly, it is difficult, but unfortunately, they let it slip through their fingers, and now